Welcome to Healing XJWS Radio. I am Gus, your host. Nate is not going to, it looks like he's not going to be making for the show today. That song was Shine by Salvador. If you ever get a chance, they're a wonderful Christian group that's from their CD, Dismiss the Mystery. So pick up that CD. It's a fantastic CD. We have a special guest today who's going to share her story coming out of the Jehovah's Witnesses, Grace Gough. And Grace, you're on the air.
Yes, I am.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm alive.
How's Canadian weather over there?
Oh, very hot. Beautiful weather. We're having lovely weather.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Now, Grace, I've heard your name a lot at PA, and I think I've met you once at the Pennsylvania retreat when I first went there.
Yeah, you probably did, because I was going there for over 20 years.
Right. And I started going there 13 years ago, and I think it was I came to share my testimony, and then I came there probably another year or two, and then I disappeared for a while, and now I'm back. So,
well, good that you're back.
Yeah, I got occupied in church business.
Good for you. That's good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, I just, really just made myself at home in the church. Leaving the witnesses, you got to build family, and if you don't have any family, you build your family in your church.
That is so true. I find it so difficult, but the good news we're hearing in the last few days about Candace and the money that the Watchtower is going to have to pay out has really made me feel good.
Yeah. In fact, they were so I posted something on Facebook. They were so taken aback. They were unprepared about losing this court case that what they did was they couldn't make bond. So so they got like $1 billion in assets seized. So they can't. Their assets are frozen. At least for one of their corporations, which is why they have 5 corporations, because then they can just swing it around. But they'll probably make bond in the next week or two and have those assets unfrozen. But it just shows you how shocked they were to lose.
Yeah, I was shocked because I was at the Vicky Boer case that was in Canada years ago, and they lost. But the lawyers were so. Oh, they're so smart.
Right.
I have to say that. The devil can sure use some good heads to go the wrong way.
Well, I think part of it was that a lot of this information has not been privy to the public, and I guess in Alameda County, I guess they're in California, there's no such thing as secrecy. They all of their court proceedings are made public.
Good.
So that's worked against them. About you've been a long time out of the witnesses now, and
yes.
And were you raised a Jehovah's Witness?
Oh no, I was a war bride. I came over from England. My mother was a believer in God, and my dad was an atheist. So I didn't believe in. I always called myself a hatch-match and a dispatched Christian. I went to church when they were christened, when they were married, and when they were dispatched at funerals. But no, my mother always used to say, the yellow race will rule the world. And when the Jehovah's, she said it was in the Bible, and when the Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on my door, trying to act like a big shot, I said, oh, yes, they were reading from the Bible. And I said, oh, yes. I said, I know the yellow race is going to rule the world. And they said, oh, is that so? Very smart. They said, could you tell us where that is? Well, of course, I knew nothing about the Bible. So I said, well, I don't know right now. They said, well, we'll come back in 2 weeks. Well, of course, they came back in 2 weeks, and I knew nothing. I had to admit I didn't know. And, of course, they took me in and started to study from the Bible. 2 weeks they came and studied from the Bible. And then, of course, they turned it over to the book. And I was 2 years studying with them. But there was two things I didn't believe. One was that Jesus did not have a beard. That's what they used to teach. And also that he came invisibly in 1914. Well, then after a long time, they said in the Watchtower that Jesus did have a beard. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, they are truthful, so I will leave 1914 to God and get baptized. That's what I did in 1965. And I was a devout Jehovah's Witness. I was listening to Cynthia a couple of weeks ago on your line, and she was talking about being beaten. And my husband, he was Catholic, and he used to beat me to stop studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Wow.
But when the elders came to the house, they told me that there were brothers and sisters that were being persecuted in prison. And look how Jehovah was using me to be free to go calling on everybody. And I'm afraid I made 10 people Jehovah's Witnesses.
Wow. So your parents, they were raised in what church? Anglican church? Or?
No, my mother was raised in the Baptist church, and my father was an atheist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's unusual because there are not too many Baptist churches in England, are there?
Oh, I don't know now. I came over here when I was 19, and I wasn't interested in anything to do with religion in England.
Right. Oh, okay. So
I had to get married in the Catholic Church because I was pregnant before I was married with a Canadian soldier, and we were going to get married, and the Canadian government, said we had to be married in my husband's religion, otherwise we would not be recognized as married. So when I was 5 months pregnant, we were married, and so I was married in the Catholic Church. The priest came to my house, and I had to study what I believed in, what I thought about the Catholic religion, and of course I didn't bother. It just went over my head. I didn't believe in God at all.
Right. Now, so in 1965, I guess that's when they started pushing the 75 date around that time.
That's right, yes. Yes, and I heard the guy on there a couple of weeks ago saying they never preached 1975. They certainly did. I sat in assemblies listening to 1975 was to become Armageddon.
Right. Well, I know on Free Minds they have one circuit overseer's talk, Stay Alive Till 75.
Yes.
And so I don't know if talks by circuit overseers then are like they are now, that they're given a format from headquarters.
I think they are. I'm friendly with an ex-circuit servant, John Wyatt.
Oh, okay.
And what he tells me, I really do feel sorry that when we give our minds over to a cult, we really do give up our thoughts, our brain.
Right. We're zombies.
We certainly are. Yeah,
we are prisoners of our own fantasies.
Isn't that the truth? You said it right there. That's so true.
So now, in '65, what was you were still a believing witness, right? You were devout.
Oh yes, I believed wholesouled. I used to be out all the time, witnessing to everybody, knocking. I was a foot in the door Jehovah's Witness. I felt that if their life depended on it, what did it matter if I didn't put my foot in the door? I used to make them keep and listen because I thought this was so important. I was in the bombing in England, and I felt I knew what war was like, and then I could imagine what Armageddon was going to be like. So that's why I was a very pushy Jehovah's Witness.
So how many children did you and your husband have?
We had 5. I've lost 3 in death. I lost 1 in the bombing in England. I was bombed by a buzz bomb when I was 9 months pregnant, and she died 3 days later. And my mother called her Faith Virginia, faith that she would be a virgin, unlike me. But I lost my. She was a devout believer in God. And my daughter died with a breast cancer when she was just 43. And my son died with a heart attack. He was a diabetic when he was 46. I have one daughter living in Montreal who's a devout Jehovah's Witness. And I thank God I have one left that lives me here now. She is an elder in the Presbyterian Church.
Oh, okay, wow. So you raised your children as Jehovah's Witnesses?
Oh, no. Well, I raised Melanie, the one that died with breast cancer. I raised her as a Jehovah's Witness. She went through an awful time because that was a time when everybody was wearing miniskirts, and I made her wear below the knee. You know what I did to my children. But she came free a couple of years before she died. So she became a Christian, a believer in Jesus Christ before she died. I didn't raise my son, but he came to know the Lord 2 days before he died.
Wow, that's great.
I did raise Anne-Marie, who is still a witness. I did raise Susan as a Jehovah's Witness, but Susan came free a bit before I did, I think, but she didn't tell me, but she wasn't practicing.
So Anne-Marie is the lone one that has stayed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, but yeah, that's great, though. I mean, there's a great possibility that she can come out, since all of her siblings pretty much came out, and
I hope
and you
so.
came out. Yeah,
I do hope so, because I know she mustn't speak to me, and I've been very sneaky at times. I've been putting money in her bank account on occasions, and when I do that, she does phone, and she doesn't want to say I love you. As soon as I say I love you, she'll say goodbye. But
so for our listening audience, Anne-Marie, put her in your prayer list, and
please
you know,
everyone.
The prayer of the righteous availeth much. So
please do.
Yeah, we definitely want to pray for Anne-Marie. So what was it that what was the first inklings? Apparently you didn't believe in that 1914 that Jesus came back invisibly.
That's right. And I was out working with an elder one day, and I said to him, I don't believe that. And then the three elders came to my house, and they said, you have to believe that. And I said, no. I said, let's face it, you know, if you said I've got a bird, if you said you have a bird sitting on your shoulder, and you knew it was there, but I can't see it, I said, you know, you'd be in the nut house. And that's when the three of them came back and told me I had to believe it, else I'll be disfellowshipped. I couldn't go out and preach. I was not to go out and service anymore.
Wow.
And of course, you know, it was very difficult. And then they had a meeting and came back and told me if I didn't do that, I'd be disfellowshipped. And I said to them, you know, what would you do if I committed suicide? I mean, this was my life.
Right.
And one of them shrugged their shoulders. They didn't dare. And of course, I was disfellowshipped. But I was going to commit suicide. That was in 1960. 2 years after my husband died. My husband used to say to me when he was alive, they're never going to look after you. I looked after him till the day before he died. He died of cancer. And he used to say, they're never going to look after you. They don't look after the widows. And of course, but he would like to have been a witness as he was dying. He said he knew that I was a good person and he would like to believe. But, they kicked me out 2 years after he died. He died in 85, and he died in 83, and they kicked me out in 85.
Now, you say your husband was Catholic, right?
Yes.
Was he devout in his faith?
No, not at all.
Now,
his mother was a devout, the most wonderful woman I ever knew. She was a devout Catholic. She used to pray on every step of the shrine in Montreal once a month.
Wow, yeah. She was doing her penance.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
Yeah, well, we've had Catholics on the show and some witnesses that have become Catholic. Now, so that happened in, you said 69?
I was kicked out in 1968.
68. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right when the book God's Kingdom of 1,000 Years has approached had was printed.
Oh, I don't know when. I'm fed up with all their books.
Yeah, that was the official 1975
was
book.
It? Oh, okay. And they lied because they told me that I would be young and beautiful by this time, and I can tell you, I'm wrinkled, I'm old, and I'm ugly. They lied to me more than you can know.
Yes, as they have to everyone. You know, and well, I mean, the thing about Jehovah's Witnesses is, and I know because I come from 3 generations of family that are Jehovah's Witnesses, is that you know, I actually feel sorry for a lot of them because they're victims of their own ignorance, and I just can't help but think about Isaiah 5:13 and 14, and that's a scripture that has always struck at me when I was coming out. It was one of the scriptures that really, you know, reached out to me, and it goes something to the effect of my people suffer for lack of knowledge.
That's so true.
Right, and it says that they make famished men their glory.
Right.
Therefore Sheol hath enlarged her gates, and they jubilantly descend within. And that's just, that really typifies how people can gladly, you know, bring their own demise. They can joyfully walk into a fiery house.
But, you know, I truly love Jehovah's Witnesses, and I truly do believe that they are good people.
Yes. Yes.
I really do believe that. And when I read Deuteronomy 18:20-22 about the false prophets, that truly is Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right. Well, like, you know, like that scripture says, the problem is that most Jehovah's Witnesses, was it like the book, I forgot the book by Ed Gruss, I think. But you know, the fact is that they're following famished men that are spiritually famished, and they're following these men, and they think that these men have all the answers.
Right.
But and they've made these men their glory. You know, they look up to the governing body, the faithful and discreet slave, and that.
I used to do that. I used to look at them on the platform when they were speaking and think, oh, how wonderful, you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, so did I. I had this crazy delusion that a whirlwind would appear before this big table. They had this big conference table.
That's right, yeah.
And Jehovah would speak his truths to the governing body, and then they would go ahead and put it in the Watchtower.
Yeah. Oh, just when you think back about how thoughts, you really, you know, it really does make you realize, you know, John 5:39, where it says you're studying the scriptures because you think you have light, yet you refuse to come to me.
Yep.
You know, that's exactly where we were. We really knew our Bibles. That's all my friends now say, oh, you really know your scriptures. Sure we did, but did we ever twist them?
Right, yeah. We were master scripture twisters.
Right.
Now, in 1968, you were disfellowshipped for denying the doctrine of 1914.
Right.
And so where did that lead you?
Well, I was going to commit suicide. I was 2 years out there, and I was going to commit suicide after they said that. And I was walking along the street one day. I was going to jump under a bus. And a young fella came around the corner right in front of me, and I thought, oh, I can't do that to him. He'll never forget it. So I didn't do it. And then I started, Ron Milnine, he's a Christian fellow. He started to talk to me and tell me things. And an ex-Jehovah's Witness, the Carcos, started to talk. And I started to listen. And then when, of course, somebody mentioned going to the BRCI conference, which I went to, and I met Ray Franz there and a few of them. And Dan Dykstra, some wonderful, wonderful ex-Jehovah's Witnesses.
Now that was much later, right? Because Ray didn't get out until 1980, right? Was it 80, 81, 82 maybe?
Yeah, well, that must have been. But I forget the dates and things, but I know I went to the BRCI, and then somebody said, go to the Pennsylvania one. And I went to that with the Carcels as a Jehovah's Witness. I went there as a Jehovah's Witness. In my mind, I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness, but I still was in my mind and my body. I still believed it was the truth, even though they'd kicked me out.
Right.
And, of course, Bill Setner was the head of it then.
Of BRCI?
Yeah, no, of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the Witnesses Now for Jesus.
I went there after I went to BRCI. I did the tours. But that's when I came to know Jesus was at
Pennsylvania Retreat.
That's right, yeah. Alton and Jeannie Pitts was speaking one day, and when he was speaking and he gave scriptures about Jesus being in your heart, that's when I asked Jesus to be my Lord and Savior, and that's when I consider I was born again.
Wow. Yeah, I know Alton Pitts. They live close down here in Baltimore.
Oh, do you
Alton
ever speak to him? Do you ever speak?
We've talked sometimes. They do. They actually they go door to door. I think Alton and Jean.
Do they?
Yeah,
I haven't
sharing
heard
the
from
gospel.
them in years and years.
Yeah, yeah. They and I mean, I haven't spoken to them in years, but I think last time I saw them was in 2003.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I haven't spoken to them.
Yeah, see, I live right here in Washington, D.C. area, so they're not far there. Well, they're far relatively, but not really. You know, they're in the Washington, D.C. area.
I have to back up a bit, too, because while I was out and still thinking it was the truth, I read a book by Austin Miles, and it was called Don't Call Me Brother. And I read that book, and it was victims of the church, that tell their stories. So I wrote to him, and then he wrote my letter in his new book, Setting the Captives Free. And that's when Sally Jesse Rapheal, she was a TV person that used to have a talk show.
Right.
And she called me and asked me to go on the show with Austin Miles and a few other people that had come out of different cults.
Wow.
So I was on the Sally Jesse Rapheal Show, and then I was on the Shirley Show, and the letters that I got from people that had been kicked out of the Watchtower was amazing. I couldn't believe so many people were free.
Yeah, and
or were still witnesses that wanted to come free.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that Sally Jesse, with her TV show was very popular back then.
Yes.
Allowed criticism of other religious, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, actually allowed that on her show because people are very, very politically correct nowadays, and they just don't want to bash anybody's religion, so to speak.
Unfortunately, that's true, because I've been phoning all the papers here in Canada, in Ontario, about the Candace case. They won't write it. They won't put anything in the paper about it.
Well, I know you know Lori McGregor, right?
I certainly do.
Yeah, well, I know she they made her ministry. They took her non-charitable status away.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was criticizing other religions.
Right.
So,
yes, I remember that.
Yeah. So I know how the Canadian government feels about that, and the same thing is starting to happen here in the States. I'm supposed to have a former BYU professor on in the next couple of weeks, and she can't get on the radio because they're staying away from her because Mitt Romney is running for president.
Yeah.
And so a lot of churches are now starting to declare the LDS Church as Christian church. So sadly, but it's about what's popular nowadays. I just want to remind our listeners, if you want to ask Grace any questions or you want to share any comments, just press 1. The number is 347-934-0379. Press 1 so that we can see you, and if you want to add anything to the program. Yeah, so...
I wanted to say, though, that your papers have really, the American papers have done a good write-up, haven't they?
Yes, they have. I'm surprised. Now, I just would like for them to get some television coverage on the.
Oh, wouldn't it be wonderful? Yes.
Because I think it's a landmark case. I think not only just to readjust the Jehovah's Witnesses and their policy on how to handle molestation, but I just think in general with other religions, I really have a really difficult time with the vows of secrecy that the Catholic Church allows.
I understand. Somebody told me that Anderson Cooper's going to do something on it.
Oh, that would be great. That would be fantastic because I really do think that this is going to open wide. Possibly for not only the witnesses but any other religions to change how they handle these, these cases where pedophiles are running through their congregations, and
right.
But the problem is with the witnesses, there is such utter denial that there is a problem that exists. The leadership is in denial.
Right. Oh.
But this is a step in the right direction. The only thing that'll make them change is you got to hit them in their pockets.
I think that's the truth. I think they are the lovers of money, Yep. And money is the root of all evil, and boy, they're at the bottom of it too.
They're so worried about their image. They're not worried about their image.
And it's so sad because I used to give money. I used to go from door to door most of the time, and my husband kicked up a big fuss, and he called the elders. He wanted to talk to them at my house, and he did. He said, look, she's working for you for nothing. I want her to work for me because we were very poor. And the elders told me in front of him, yes, Grace, you must obey your husband, so you must go to work. So I did. I had to go to work. I said, well, what about all my studies? They said, well, you'll have to fit them in evenings or weekends whenever you're not working. And that's what I did do. I had to go to work.
Now, Grace, when you was at the Pennsylvania retreat, that's where you said you came to the Lord. Was it because of Alton and Jean Pitt's testimonial?
Yes.
Or?
Well, no, it was because of the whole atmosphere.
Right.
Bill picked on me the minute I walked in the door. He said, Jehovah, who's Jehovah? And that really bothered me. It did. It really made me very angry. And I sat there very angry. But I listened to all the testimonies, and I was really, really amazed. And I knew in my heart that they were telling the truth because some of them were saying things that had happened to me. And then when Alton and Jean got up and told their testimony, I just sat there, and the man next to me said, would you like to? I said, oh, I'd love to go. And they were calling for an altar call. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, I'd love to go forward. And he said, come on, would you like me to go with you? And he came with me. And he was a Christian fellow. And at this age, I used to remember all their names, but nowadays I've forgotten names.
Right.
Because we've had a support group for over 20 years. And I've given it up recently, but Ron Millmine and many, Lou Groff, many wonderful Christians. And we've had over 700 go through the support group.
Right. Now, when you had come to the Lord, your children were still witnesses, right?
Anne-Marie was. Alan... no, Melanie was alive. No, she was out. My Melanie died. She was doubting. Well, no, she had married a guy that was not a Jehovah's Witness, and she told me, Mommy, I want to die at Armageddon, but I'm going to die with him. He was an unbeliever, her husband. Mm-hmm. And Anne-Marie was still a witness. Susan, my daughter, was sort of out, but she never mentioned it. And, of course, my son never believed. But Anne-Marie was always a witness. And right. I wrote and told her. Well, I wrote and told her that I might be disfellowship when they first came. And she said, Mommy, I love you very much, but I don't want to talk to you anymore if you are. And she didn't talk to me for many years. It's just recently I just started to be sneaky. I think money talks more than it. I'm called Mouthy on the JWN line, so I figure my money can talk for Mouthy.
Well, you have grandchildren, right?
Yes, I do. They are not Jehovah's Witnesses, thank God. Unfortunately, I only have one Christian granddaughter. The rest are atheists.
Now, Anne-Marie, did she have any children?
Yes, she did. Vanessa had left the organization. Heather was a pioneer, and I don't know what's going on there because she's evidently not disfellowshipped, and yet she's living with a guy and she has a baby with a guy, and they look after the child 2 days a week. I did ask her the last time she spoke, my daughter. She won't speak to me, the granddaughter. But I did ask my daughter, I said, is she disfellowshipped? She said, no, she doesn't go. She hasn't been going for a long time. So I guess they don't disfellowship them if they stay away. And that is what happened to my daughter, Susan, the Christian one now. Mm-hmm. She has never been disfellowshipped, but she's never gone back to the Kingdom Hall.
Now, was your coming to the Lord one of the things that helped her to come to become a Christian?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think she's told me, well, both of my children, Melanie, the one that died, she told me, Mummy, I've always believed in Jesus. She said he used to sit beside me on the bus because she used to get bullied on the bus going to school. She said Jesus used to sit beside me on the bus all the time I went to school. She said, I've always believed in Jesus. And Susan told me, she said, I always believed in Jesus even when I was a Jehovah's Witness. I thought he was God. Well, I never did. I thought Jesus was a God with a small g.
Right. Now, at the Pennsylvania retreat, that they pounded on that, didn't they?
Yes. Yes, they did. And I think that's a marvelous group. I really do. I think Bill Setner and Joan has done a lot for so many. As the BRCI, I mean, I'm sure you're aware of the 1-800-Y-1940 with Marilyn.
Marilyn's wife,
yes, they've all done so much good. I think it's wonderful what they've all done. I really do. Right.
Well, I've noticed that even amongst those in BRCI, more and more are becoming mainstream Christians, even amongst their ranks. So it just takes time. It takes time for the Spirit to work, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm quite friendly with Jim Penton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only disagreement we have is in the Trinity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And some don't, but I don't have to answer to anybody else but Jesus Christ.
Right. I'll say this about Jim Penton is that he's not antagonistic about it.
Not at all. He's a wonderful guy. They're wonderful.
I had him on for 2 shows last September.
Oh, did you? Yeah. I think he did call me the other week. He's not too well right now, but he did call me and tell me, yes, I said, I was never heard of you. I had never heard of this healing ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, at 85, I'm beginning to lose it.
Yeah, well, no, it's a very new ministry. Nate Beckman, who's at work right now, started a blog site about 4 years ago, and this is when blogging and Twittering and all this new technology was, really big, and I think he has set up the very first ex-Jehovah Witness blog site, where people can share their ideas and articles and create forums. Wonderful. And when we started, we had maybe less than 50, and now I think we've exceeded over 400 members now.
Marvelous. Well, I did listen to Cynthia. That was the first time I've ever listened, and I was amazed.
Yeah, and then he attached the radio show 3 years ago, and I was on the first program, and I've been on ever since with Nate, and so now I'm his Robin he's my Batman.
Good, a very good job you're doing, Gus. Good for you. Yeah. Being used by the Lord.
Amen. Yeah, it's been very good. We've had a lot of support. we're now listener-supported radio, so, our listeners pay the bills for us, and it just shows that that people care about the program and that more and more people are listening. And the more people that listen, then, maybe we can reach out to Jehovah's Witnesses. We do have some active witnesses who actually listen to the program, and so, I know you guys out there. We pray for them, and we take a non-antagonistic approach, non-confrontational approach, even though sometimes we have, debate and we have scholars on and whatnot. But we always the whole idea is that we're in the process of healing, and that's the whole theme of the program, is that as ex-witnesses, we're constantly healing from the wounds that we've received, and as Jehovah's Witnesses.
And sometimes it takes quite a while to heal.
Yeah, I mean, look, all these years, and you still have, one daughter that's still a witness, and so, it's a lifetime of difficulty, and it just really shows you the harshness and the evil nature of what's happening with the cults in general. I mean, this happens not only to us but to other people in other cults. But I think the witnesses stand out more so with their shunning than any other cult. We have a listener who wants to share something, so we're going to put them on. Listener 727.
Hello, this is Shirley Jackson, and I just want to thank Grace. She's such a wonderful person, and she's really helped so many people, including myself, coming out of the witnesses. She's really been there for all of us. One thing I wanted to say was I was watching Anderson Cooper till very late last night on the Jerry Sandusky case, the coach in Pennsylvania that was just charged with all the pedophiles. Anderson Cooper happened to mention how yesterday the Catholic Church was charged with covering up pedophiles with the priests. And Anderson Cooper made the statement that there were many religions out there covering up the pedophiles, and this had to be exposed. So I think that I was told he's working on doing a story on the Jehovah's Witnesses, and that really encouraged me. I really believe he's going to go forward with this after his comments last night.
Oh, that's great. I really hope he does, because it just burns me up to knowing that these religions and specifically Jehovah's Witnesses and the Catholic Church really think they're doing good by not revealing, these criminals, because that's what they are. And the fact is, if you're really about God, God would expect you to turn in these criminals, because God has said in the book of Romans that he has assigned the governing authorities. He has ordained them. And so we're to obey the authorities because they are ordained by God. They are performing God's will for us. And so it's just it's a sad state that you're thinking that you're doing a justice to people that believe in God, that are in your church, and yet you're exposing them to these criminals and not turning these criminals in, which God would expect you to do, by the way.
Well, one thing I can comment on that is I was a Jehovah's Witness for 30 years, and I knew of a man that I personally knew this brother that had molested children before, and I knew that he was raping his 8-year-old daughter. And I did go to the elders, and I told them, and 4 of them came to my house and told me that I must keep my mouth shut. I cannot talk against a brother, and I was bringing reproach on Jehovah's organization. The man was eventually arrested and convicted and sent to jail for this crime. In 2002, I live in Florida, and the St. Petersburg Times did a 2-page story on myself and Bill Bowen, and J.R. Brown practically called Bill Bowen a liar in the paper. And now it's really infuriating coming out on J.R. Brown right now, how he's denying any of this stuff, and somebody made it was a Jehovah's Witness charged, not the organization, and I know firsthand how the witnesses cover this up. I've seen it myself, so it just infuriates me over J.R. Brown and what he's saying now.
Yeah, because they're in denial, and yet they're the ones that are doing all the lying in court. Yeah.
I have to say, Shirley, thank you very, very much for such nice report on me. I didn't think I was that nice.
You know, as many times you give us all a grace fix, and I've asked for one several times. I just could not imagine getting along without you.
Well, I'm going to have to open my window and stick my head out because it's swelling.
Well, Grace, you know, God had to use you because you brought in all those those people into the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
So he's got to use you to bring some people out.
That's right, Gus. I say that's what he does, and I thank him so much.
Yeah. You know, just like Job, you know, he lost 10 children and God gave him 20 more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the truth. I believe that, too, because I've got so many that call me Mum. Randy Waters calls me Mum.
Yeah. Well, Shirley, thank you. Thank you again for calling in, and feel free to call me if you want to share your testimony on the program.
I Pennsylvania or not, I was one of the feature speakers on Saturday afternoon there a few years ago. Excuse me. That was the first year that Rick Farron was still a Jehovah's Witness, and he and Inez came to Blue Mountain that year and heard my testimony.
Okay, well, we want to hear it on the radio too.
Oh.
we have almost 2,000 listeners listening to this program every month, so we'd love to get you on your testimony. If you have a pen, and this is for I always give my number out to my listening audience, but my number, if you want to share your testimony on Healing XJWS Radio, my number is 202. 281 9450.
Okay.
And you can always call me or text me. I'll always return the call if I don't pick it up. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get your emails all the time on the. Is it Healing Jehovah's Witnesses? One of them, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. On the blog site, healingxjws.com. Yeah. So if you know any other witnesses, please, let them know. Spread the word.
Okay.
All righty. Okay, we have another listener who wants to get on the air. Thank you, Shirley.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And listener 519.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Hi, my name's Ted Brown. I was just listening to the show, and I know Grace well. And I just thought I should mention, Grace mentioned coming out or being disfellowshipped in 1968, but I believe it was 1986. And I don't know how important that is. But
that's very important, Ted, you see. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I also wanted to say, Grace, how much you've helped me. I've never been a witness, but how much you've helped me and encouraged me over all these years with Lynn and the boys. And anyway.
But Ted, I think you should mention to Gus about your site.
Oh, well, I have a site. There's not a lot on there, but it's called Investigation of the WatchtowerInvestigation.com.
Okay, WatchtowerInvestigation.com. So that's great. Yeah.
And Ted and I have picketed the Kingdom Halls and the assemblies, and Ted does an awful lot of work. His wife is a Jehovah's Witness, and his son and his grandson. And Ted has done so much to help me, I have to say that. Thank you, Ted, for all you've done for me.
Well, I don't know about that, Grace, but you're welcome. But, I haven't been doing much lately. I've been just kind of sitting back because sometimes you just get you don't know what to do. But anyways, this is just great to hear your radio show, too. And Grace, this is great to listen to you. I'm sitting here now. It took me a couple minutes to figure out how to do it, but I'm just listening to it now. And,
see, Grace, You're getting a lot of love here, Grace.
Isn't that lovely? Yes, I do. And I accept all this love. I'm sorry, but I love it.
And Grace has said that sometimes she just wants to go home to the Lord. She's tired. She's had it. Yet he won't let her because he needs it too much, and she's
well, me and Grace have been joking because I was trying to make sure that I had her as soon as possible on the program because she was saying, well, if I'm still around, and I'm like, look, if you're not around by the time I have this radio program with you on, me and the Lord are going to have a long talk, and I'm going to say, couldn't you have waited just this Saturday?
Yeah.
We're blessed to have her on the air, and and the same for you, Ted. My number just, I'm trying to get in touch with as many people to share their testimonies. I'm pretty booked till the end of September, but definitely want to pass my number, and I'm all for advanced booking. So.
Okay. Well, thanks very much.
Thanks for calling in.
Okay. Well, take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Grace.
Bye, dear.
Now, we also have caller 203 who wants to share something. Caller 203, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
This is Dave Riccaboni.
Hey, Dave.
I want to say hello to my friend Grace. How are you, Grace?
I'm dying. I haven't heard from you for so long.
You sound wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. We go back a long way, don't we?
We sure do. How many years do we go back? Remind me.
I think 1984. I'm not sure.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah, I met you out of Pennsylvania.
Once you've met me, nobody ever forgets me. I'm still cold mouthy.
Yeah, I just want to say this. It's great to hear you again, and tell Gus too. He's doing a wonderful job there.
Well, tell them what you do.
What? Pardon?
Tell them what you do.
Oh, I don't do very much anymore.
No?
No.
You have been doing a lot.
Well, I pass things on that other people give me. Gene sends me a lot of stuff, and so do you, actually. I see you alerting everybody out there, and that's great. I'm just trying to put together a little, I call it the prehistoric history of the Watchtower.
Good for you.
And it's I'm trying to do a cartoon. It's I'm going to call it The Nation of WT. What if the Watchtower ruled the world? What it would be like if we had a bunch, congregational committees.
I've got an excellent idea. If you want to know if the Watchtower ruled the world, what it would be like, go rent the movie 1984.
Yeah, right.
By George Orwell.
Right. Well, I'm not trying to be serious about it. I'm trying to be silly about it.
Yeah.
And so I'll send a couple of them to you, Gus, if you send me your address, and I'll see. I tried to put them up on the healing site, but I just can't seem to upload stuff. I'm not computer savvy. I'm heading for my 80th birthday and all this stuff, and it's crazy. I don't know how to operate this stuff. It's different than the dial telephone,
I'm probably just a little bit advanced than you, just a little bit, not that much, but I'm still trying to catch up with everybody too.
Well, I remember when we were the first people. My family was the first house on our street that got a telephone, so. That's how far back I go, right, Grace?
Yeah, I'm never the first to get new technology. I'm usually the guy who gets the technology after it drops in price, like about 200%.
Yeah, but you understand that I don't.
Well, I can beat you, David. I was before electricity. We never had electricity when I was a kid.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Because I'm 85, so I'm a bit older than you.
Well, you're only 6 years older than me, so. That's not that much difference. Well, anyway, I just wanted to call in and tell both of you. Grace, I'm glad to hear you. I love your testimony. And Gus, you're doing a great job, you and Nate.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
And inform me, this was new what I heard you say today about listener supported. I didn't see anything about that.
Well, actually, we had posted something in May, just asking people for a little bit of cash because
I remember
the program.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very, very quickly responded to. We had a couple of people that really pulled through for us, and it wasn't a lot of money, but we nevertheless appreciated it as two guys that are just working hard. And,
right.
Nate, Nate does I think carpentry or sheetrock or something like that, and he's in construction, and he has I think 3 or 4 kids with Sonia, and then I've got 2 jobs, so we're just barely making ends meet. So, but
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So even though it wasn't a great deal, but it just helped us immensely, and we're just very thankful for it.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, keep us informed of if everybody listening gave you $10 a month, you could probably set up a real radio station here.
Yeah. We never know. Nate is the creative genius behind everything. He's always thinking of new things. I just he says, Gus, go do, and then I just do, and he's the one who thinks of it, though.
Wonderful. Hey, keep going with Grace there. I'm enjoying it.
All right, great. Well, thank you.
God bless
thank you for
Grace.
calling, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Yeah, Grace, I had Dave on about 2 months ago, and he shared his testimony. If you want, I'll email it to you so that you can listen to it.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's you're getting a lot of love here.
Yes, isn't that nice? I really do appreciate it too.
Well, I told you was highly in demand, so I couldn't hold back the dogs. So
you're going to get a few comments about that.
They was barking. They wanted Grace. So
none of them want me to kick the bucket. My grandchildren, my great-grandchildren all tell me, you know what, Nan? It's the good that die young. You're going to live for a long time. Meaning I ain't good.
That means you're not too good. Well, I always say that the good die quietly.
Oh, I hope so. I always say, I hope I have the kiss of the Lord. I pray every night to kick the bucket.
Yeah, I tell you, because that's just a little personal opinion of mine. I just think that people that are really close to God, they just ease in the middle of the night.
Oh, that would be so nice.
Yeah, but so it was in '86 that you were dysfunctional. So you went through the whole 1975 thing.
Yes, I did.
As a witness. And
I believed it.
Wow, and you believed it, but you didn't believe 1914, but you believed 1975.
Yeah, well, I thought if they would admit about the beard being wrong, and they preached that for a long time, that I knew that they did correct themselves, so I was waiting for a correction. I just thought I'd wait on the Lord, on Jehovah.
So when they popped up with the 1975 date, though, you didn't question it at all?
No, I just figured, oh, well. That would be nice. They told me, the elders even told me I was going to be young and beautiful, no wrinkles, and I was going to look beautiful. I was going to live on this paradise earth. I believed them. I mean, let's face it. I heard what I wanted to hear.
Right.
Now I don't believe what anybody tells me. I'm sorry if I don't
you're
believe
a cynic.
I am. I don't, and especially men. When men tell me I've got it, I don't know if you saw it on Randy's site, the 2 elders that came to me not too long ago. And I asked them to read Deuteronomy to me, and they did, about false prophets. And then after they finished, I said, you just read about yourselves. And you could see the look on their face. And, of course, when I told them I had known Glenn Howe, who was a terrific lawyer for the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I had made the guidance counselor here a Jehovah's Witness, and they knew him, and they were a little shocked. But when they left, They said they could talk to me. I said, you're not supposed to be talking to me. And they said, well, they could because they were elders.
Wow, yeah. Well, they didn't tell Ray Franz that, you know.
No, they didn't. Ray
right.
Franz was wonderful to me. I called Ray a long time ago, and Ray and I were good friends, and Cynthia, they were wonderful to me. I've been to their house and had supper with them, and they were terrific. There were so many, Dan Dykes to Roy Lathrop. I can name so many wonderful Jehovah's Witnesses that are not, and that exposed the lie.
I'll tell you, I would love to get a hold of Peter Gregerson. I've been trying to get a hold of him for a while. But so those of you who are listening, if you know Peter personally, drop him my number and let him know I want him to tell his story.
What about Eric Griesopper?
You know what? I'll see him at PA this year. So
you're going to PA?
Yeah. Me and the whole family. We went. I went last year, and I actually spoke last year. I spoke on Grace.
On the right Grace.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. And Diane Golson.
Yeah. I'm going to get everybody's names this year. I couldn't stay long because on my way up to Pennsylvania last year, my transmission died on me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had so many things before me that it was like no doubt that the devil didn't want me to go speak.
Good for you.
I had horrible bronchitis.
Oh.
And I was recovering from it, but I had a real froggy voice, kind of like Richard Rawi has.
Oh, yeah. And it's hard to sometimes understand, yeah.
And but I went up and I spoke, and it was received well, and I got to see a good friend of mine share her testimony, Betty Christensen, and it was a blessing even for the little bit of time I could stay up there. But my family loved it so much, we stood in one of the trailers.
Oh, I love it. I love it there. I wish I could go, but my passport is expired. And John Ankerberg, he was another. He goes every year. He's been there since the beginning. I guess you know John Ankerberg.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And
he's one of the dogs that were barking.
Yes. Oh, he was one of the dogs or the monkey. But
he was really pulling my ear about getting you on.
He needs prayer. He needs to come to the Lord. But he drove me all the way from Pennsylvania back home one year. He's been and he sends me so much. I have a house filled with gifts of his. He's been a wonderful guy, but I have a bone to pick with him, and he knows. I think
we all do. But John is a very pleasant person, very nice person.
Yes, he is.
And I always say I'd rather have sinners amongst the saints than in a club.
That's right. That's true.
That's I want people that don't believe to be amongst believers. And so John is in a perfect spot.
That's
somebody caller 727.
This is Shirley Jackson again. I just wanted to say, do I have an email for you or something? Because I have Peter Gregerson's phone number I could give you.
Well, I don't want you to give me his number unless he would allow it. But if you could give him my number, because I've emailed him and I've talked to Tom, and Tom, I think. But sometimes people just get occupied. So if you could please let him know, I really, really, really want him on the program, really, really bad.
I'll email him today for you.
Yes, please do. Thank you. Because and I did a tribute show for Ray Franz. I really wanted to get him on for the tribute show to talk about his friendship with Ray.
Okay.
But if I could just get him on, I really would love to. And because I think it's for many of our listeners, people like Grace, people like Peter, people like Tom Cabine. There's so many new escapees out of the Watchtower that have no idea of you people, and you guys have gone through the ban on vaccinations. You guys have gone through ban on organ transplants. You've gone through stuff that they're completely unaware of, and so I want some of that Watchtower history to be told again for this next generation of witnesses that are coming out of the Watchtower. And there's so many of them that are atheists and agnostics, and I want them to hear these testimonies. So, that's my whole purpose. So, yes, thank you, Shirley, if you could. Please give him my number, too. Hmm? Yeah, my phone number, right?
Yes. So
yes.
I will pass that on to him today.
Yes, thank you. There's another caller who wants to come on the air. Grace, you have given us a lot of live callers here.
I'm glad they're alive.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, my name is Lynn, and I'm calling you from New York, and I've been friends with Grace's for 10 and a half years. And I want to let you know she also helps Christians that are in trouble. And she has been my soulmate, my mentor, everything to me. She came into my life right after my husband's suicide, and she's just wonderful. It's me, honey.
Lynn.
Yeah.
She's never been a Jehovah's Witness.
No, I was a Catholic for 13 years of school that was probably like the Jehovah's Witnesses, But no, Grace is just wonderful to everyone, and she's just a godsend. But why I'm calling is, Grace, maybe Gus would like to know about Dan Hall, because Dan was an elder, and he lived in California.
I think probably Gus might know Dan Hall.
Well, I do know Dan,
you do?
But I don't have his number. And last time I spoke to him, it was years ago. He was sick.
No,
is he okay?
He's going to be, forgive me, Dan, he's going to be 71 in August.
Right.
He does have some problems, but he still goes around with his Bible study. As a matter of fact, a few months ago, with a friend in Toronto, Ruth, they set up a wonderful website. I think it's called Awesome Answers, and he's releasing all his books again, and he's really moving to get a revival going in the last days. And if you want, Gus, I'll call you later and give you Dan's phone number, because I'll tell you he's very active. He has Bible study a couple times a week in California. He's in Walnut Grove, California.
And Dan. I know Dan, and I know Donald Nelson, and I lost both their numbers.
Well, I'll call you. Your number is 202-281-9450.
That's correct. Yeah.
Well, I'll call you later, and I'll give it to you in his address.
Yes, please do. Yeah,
I will.
Please do.
And Grace, you are wonderful. God bless you, dear. And no, you're not leaving until the rapture. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll hang up now.
Thank you very much.
She's going to walk right into the refiner's fire.
Oh, my goodness me. Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, bye,
Thank
honey.
you very much.
All righty. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, golly.
Yeah. So,
this is getting embarrassing.
Great.
I'll have to pay all these people, I guess.
Well, I told you that you was in demand. You thought I was kidding.
I did.
Yeah, so, but that's great. That's great.
You talk about being in the time when there was no vaccinations, and then I had to have a blood transfusion. I had to have an operation for ulcers, and I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I had a big sign put over my bed, absolutely no blood.
Wow, yeah.
Dr. Palmer, who used to go all over the world doing big operations, he told me just before I went under that I could die if I don't take blood. And I said to him, well, if Jehovah wants me to die, I have to die. And one of the interns, I practically helped him to become a Jehovah's Witness. I preached to him every time he came before the operation. And then one day I heard a lot of noise in the hallway, and two nurses came in and said, are you the Jehovah's Witness? I said, yes. She said, well, that intern that was just going down, the other interns dumped him in a bath and baptized him as a Jehovah's Witness, making fun of the poor guy. I think of that, how horrible I was then, too. How stupid.
We've all had our experiences.
Oh.
I think somebody, I'm not sure if this is the same person. Hello? I think that's the same person that I just spoke to. Okay, so I'm just making sure that I get everybody who presses 1. I remember Joan telling me about the vaccination that they had to get the acid on the arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my wife, she lost her mom due to the blood issue. She had a tubal pregnancy.
Dear.
So she passed away, and but she, the Lord was able to use me as an instrument to bring her to the Lord, and her father, my father-in-law.
Oh,
so they're both Christians now, and he goes to a Baptist church, and so it's a blessing that to see to see some of the family come out, because I had definitely prayed for my wife for her dad, because he was the only one in her family line that was a witness.
Oh.
And of course her mom who passed away, but
if you could have all the people that died from the rules of the Watchtower, I think it would be much more than Jonestown and Koresh put together.
Absolutely. I've always said it. I've always said that this cult has a far-reaching death toll than any of the other cults.
Yes, I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, just think, and the blind obedience is so extensive that, I mean, if you just figure, if the organization said tomorrow that the government is turning on us, and that Jehovah has told us that we need to drink this poison Kool-Aid so that we can be resurrected, I figure at least 10% would do it, and 10% of 7 million is still a large number.
Yeah. What is that noise at the back?
Unfortunately, I'm at my workplace, and they're running emergency proceedings. So.
That's
and they're
bad.
definitely letting us know that all is clear.
Oh, good. I thought somebody was yelling at me. I was expecting some rocks to come through the telephone.
Yeah. Right, but
well, it's good to hear about your family. That is good. And you were third generation, you say?
Third generation. My grandparents. My grandfather was Catholic, and he used to gamble on the streets of Brooklyn, not far from Bethel. And one of the Bethelites saw him gambling and dropped the Watchtower right on his dice.
Oh.
And then the curse began.
Yeah. Isn't it clever how they catch him in the net?
Yeah, I know. Well, the good thing is that from what I understand, is they're selling all of that Brooklyn property, so they'll be, at least they won't be present there. I think they still have 2 buildings in Manhattan, and they're going to move to upstate, I think. Mm-hmm. But they're having to change everything, and because they're losing money as far as publishing material. Newspaper businesses are going out of business now because of
because of the internet.
Yeah,
sure.
so it's affecting them.
Yeah.
And so, that's a good thing on a certain level, because they're known for their literature.
Right.
Just like I think the last big thing to affect them from their literature was up there in France, and they had to pay $60 million in taxes.
Yeah.
Because they were getting charged per piece of literature. So it hurt them the worst.
Yeah.
It hurt them the worst. But I just want to apologize to my listening audience.
That's all right. That reminds me of the wall. That's what we used to have, was a siren when the bombs were coming over.
Yeah, well, this will let you know that we're at spiritual war. Or this is what Armageddon is supposed to sound like.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm glad. I'm not going to believe everything you say, though. I believe too many men in my life.
Is it safe to say, Grace, that you're a very candid person?
Very.
I can share with you something that I think this is something you would have said too, because my wife says that I'm a very candid person. I'm brutally candid.
Me too.
And so I had 2 Mormon elders in my house one time, and so they asked me. They said, "So what do you think about, the Book of Mormon?" And I told them, I said, "You know what? You guys are wonderful people, and if it was due to your charity and your morals, I would be a Mormon yesterday, because you're really, really nice people. But the only problem is this book that you have right here, the Book of Mormon." And they say, "Yeah, what's wrong with it?" I said, "It's no truer than the 3 little pigs." And they
do?
Laughed. I was surprised that they laughed.
They laughed.
They openly laughed. And I said, "Yes, other than that, the only thing is I don't find any truth in anything that you've written, But you guys are nice people." And eventually they got a little frustrated with me.
Yeah, eventually, after they realized that you're not going to accept their word.
Right.
Yeah.
They said, "Well, do you promise to keep the commandments?" I said, "Keep what? All 617 Levitical laws?"
Yeah, isn't it a shame? Because you'll find that most religious, I say this, I really do believe, and I know I'm going to offend a lot of listeners, I do believe religion causes more trouble in the world than anything. Yes. I think you have to be spiritual. Jesus Christ is the bread. He is the only way, truth, and life, I believe. Anybody can believe their beliefs, but I believe inside of me there is only one way, and I think religion does cause, and yet I find a lot of people that call themselves religious are very, very good, kind people. I have a granddaughter that is a lesbian, and she is getting married by the United Church in August, and many Christians who call themselves Christians tell me I really shouldn't go to this wedding. But you see, I believe, I am going. I believe, I don't agree with it, but I believe wherever there is love, there is Christ. And I've been to hundreds of weddings where they have vowed, till death do we part. And the Bible tells me it is better not to vow than vow and never pay. So I feel that all the broken vows of wedded marriages is not my business. And if they want to get married, that's up to them.
Right.
Don't judge what I do.
Right. Yeah, I've had similar situations here also when it comes to gay marriage or anything like that.
Yeah.
First of all, there's a lot of people that I know that are gay, that are ex-witnesses, very good friends of mine.
Right. Me too.
Yeah, and so I think that the best thing a Christian can do is to be an extension of grace to
That's right. That's
to
right.
people
That's
like that.
I feel if a child can be born with 2 heads and 1 body, as there has been, and if a person can be born with both vagina and penis, I believe people can be born with homosexual. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't agree with people. I know not all, but I do believe it can be done. I'm so sorry.
So do I.
Good. I'm glad.
Some people might disagree with
They do
disagree with me on that.
Many disagree with me, but that's okay.
Yeah, but hermaphrodism is an excellent example. Like you just pointed that out, and and not saying that that's a natural thing, but
no, I'm not either. But I'm just saying it has happened in births, and I believe that people can be born a little. I shouldn't say it. Screwed up, if you want to say. I don't care. There's being candid. I shouldn't do that. Sorry, people. But that's why I'm called mouthy, because I say the wrong things.
Well, you know what well, to be blunt, what the Bible calls it is, it says that it's a unnatural thing, so it went against nature, and we see a lot of things that go against nature.
Oh, don't we ever know? Yeah.
Yeah, just like you said, a person born with 2 hands, that's not natural.
No.
A person born with 15 fingers, that's not natural, and so we have to. And I do have a friend who's gay, and he's chosen to be celibate. But that's his choice. And the thing is, if he fails or falls, I'm supposed to be there to help him.
That's right. That's what the Lord said,
yeah.
And that's what we do.
Right, and so I think that
love
people
covers a multitude of sin.
Well, knowledge puffs up, but love builds up.
That's right.
And I actually, and I'm glad that you said something about being religious and being spiritual. They're two different things.
Right.
Because I was a very religious person. Even when I left the Witnesses for a little while, I was a very zealous religious person.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned to be a spiritual person.
That's right.
When I served as a pastor as an assistant pastor for 5 years in the Lutheran Church.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I learned to be a spiritual person when I learned to see people as God sees people.
That's right. Amen.
And so God loves people. He loves us so much, and all our flaws and mistakes, and He still loves us, and He continues to pour His grace out on us. And so it's hard when you come out of the Witnesses to not have a judgmental nature, because your whole life you've been exposed to how to be judgmental to people, and how to not accept people for their differences. And so, I read a wonderful book by Ken Sand called The Peacemaker, and that book, and I was in Bible college when I was reading this book. It changed my whole perspective on how to deal with people and what it really means to be a shepherd of people, and not to be authoritarian. So I did a lot of growing up real fast through that book, and Dan Hall would definitely know about that, and a couple of people in Counter Call.
That's right.
Yeah, I did, after I read that book, I had to do a lot of apologizing to people.
Well, I've done that too. I just finished a book called The Prodigal God, and it opened up my eyes again to the scripture about the prodigal son. Right. I really had never realized it the way it's written. It says that the prodigal son was such a bad one, wasted money, got all his inheritance, went away, spent it, was prostitutes, everything else. And the good boy that stayed home, never did anything wrong, never caused his father any harm. He wouldn't even accept the son the brother when he came back. He wouldn't even bother with his father. He wouldn't even go to the father. So these, I think, are the people that are religious who are judging the sinners. If we really are God's chosen people, if we have really chosen Jesus Christ as our Savior, who are we to judge anybody else? Right. We have to pray for them. We have to be there to help, guide, lead, ask Christ to guide, lead, and instruct us. And that's all we can do. I've changed a lot since I've been reading other opinions.
Right.
And the man wrote the book, so I guess I listened to the man there. Contradicting myself.
Well, not all men are bad.
I know. I love them. All the ones I know, I love them very much. And I really do think that most of the people that have helped me with my group, Ted, Ron, John, so many of them are men.
Yeah.
But a lot of wonderful women, too.
Right. Amen. Well, Grace, we've reached that 8-minute mark in the program. So I just want to let our listeners know if there's anything else that you want to say. We're 8 minutes left into the program. And just press 1 so that you can share a comment, ask a question, something that you want to discuss. Speak now or forever hold your peace. But I do want to give out the site for the information on the recent freeze of the Watchtower's assets. Yes. Go to silentlambs.org. That's Bill Bowen's website, silentlambs.org, and click on the newsletter section. And he has a newsletter you can subscribe to. In fact, I didn't know he had a newsletter to subscribe to, so I'm going to subscribe to it today. And we've had Bill Bowen on the program before, and we've got to get him on again. I definitely want to make sure that he's a regular guest. But just also want to share what we're going to have next week. Next week we're going to have Greek Orthodox apologist David Withen, from piousfabrications.com. And we're going to discuss the Orthodox teaching of theosis. It's called divinization. And Richard Rawi has had some contention with the idea of divinization. So he's going to clarify what the Orthodox actually teach about being partakers of the divine nature. And we're going to discuss that and Athanasius' letters to the Arians. Grace, thank you for coming on the air.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
And it's been very pleasant and a blessing to have you on. And you had a lot of people supporting you today.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
That's the thing that I would have hoped somebody would have picked on me for a change, but I guess
nobody's going to pick on you. You're a pit bull. You're too tough.
Anyway, thank you so much, Gus, for inviting me. It was very nice to talk to you, and thank you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, and keep listening, and
I will.
And call in and share.
I certainly will.
And be as candid as possible. I love it.
You're okay.
Chew me out sometimes.
I might even do that sometime. I do
yes,
to a lot of them. Okay, thanks, Gus.
There was when I used to preach in on Sundays, there was one lady, and she would get on me every Sunday that I preached, and she would say, "You need to speak up louder. I can't hear you." and so every Sunday I would come to her and I would ask, "Was I loud enough this Sunday?" She says, "You were finally loud enough."
Good. At least that's what I say. You might as well go to the person. That's what the scriptures say. If you've got anything against anybody, go directly to them.
Yeah, well, plus it's constructive criticism
that's
always.
Right. That's right.
It's what refines us. Iron sharpens iron, and so.
But people usually say to me, "Don't talk so loud." Okay? Thanks, Gus. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you for coming on the air.
I hope I haven't offended anyone, and if I have, I'm extremely sorry.
Well, if you have, too tough.
Naughty.
It's okay.
I'll
we all have
next time.
See, that's what we call Christian liberty.
Okay.
That's the wonderful thing about coming out of the Watchtower is that we can have different opinions.
Okay.
And different political opinions. A lot of people
right. We can think. We can use that machine that God put in our head, our brain.
I am the oddest oddball. I'm all over the place, Grace. I'm an old Earth creationist who's a Democrat, who is pro-life, who has Catholic leanings. I'm all over the place. I'm a big mess.
Yes, Catholic leanings. That's not Roman Catholic leanings.
Yeah, Roman Catholic leanings.
You do?
Yes, I do have some very Roman Catholic leanings. I would consider myself Anglican with Roman Catholic leanings.
I consider myself, I'm not. I speak in all the churches, and I have spoken in all the churches, but I don't go to church. I listen to Stanley.
Oh, Charles Stanley.
And Dr. Jeremiah. I like Dr. David Jeremiah. I like him too.
Oh, he's excellent. And it gets even weirder, right? Okay, I served as a pastoral assistant in the Lutheran church, and now I attend a Southern Baptist church. So I am
I think?
Up.
Gus, I think you're weird.
I am.
That's all right, though. You're allowed to be weird. The Lord loves you anyway.
Amen. You know that what they call us weirdos. They call us Jesus freaks. So.
Well, okay, you got that one right.
Yes. So that's one thing is I'm a proud Jesus freak.
Good for
above
you.
everything else. Above everything else.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a million, dear.
God bless you.
You too.
And I want to remind our listeners to please pray for Jehovah's Witnesses. Pray for our friends and our families that are in the cults.
Amen.
All right. You all have a great day. Enjoy the weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.